Hello everyone. Today I want to show you something. This is my Erasmus Mundus result. I applied for the full scholarship, the one that covers your full tuition entirely, pays your living cost, covers your travel between partner universities, the full package. But what I got was 50% tuition coverage, which sounds like something, and in some sense it is. And you know what? There is something worse about awards like 50% scholarship or any sort of partial award. It feels worse than a flat rejection in some ways. Like you were almost good enough, like you got close, but the door was still closed. But then I start digging. I went back through my applications. I spoke to people around who have been through the same thing. I read every piece of guidance that I could find about how the selection actually worked behind the scenes. And I started to see the patterns. And you know, the thing that struck me the most, the thing that genuinely made me angry, was that none of my mistakes were about my qualifications. They were about information I didn't have, patterns I couldn't see, things that if someone had just told me, I would have done completely different. So, this video is about that conversation. Let me give you a quick background because a lot of people confuse Erasmus Mundus scholarship with regular Erasmus exchange. They are not the same thing. Regular Erasmus is a student exchange program where you go abroad for a semester and you come back. But Erasmus Mundus Joint Master's Degree is a fully funded master's program where you study at two or more European universities across 2 years. The European Commission funds it. The full scholarship, which is a full award, covers your tuition fees across all partner universities, a monthly living allowance of around 1000 to 1200 euros, travel cost, and a contribution to other expenses. It's one of the most generous scholarship available for international master students anywhere in the world. The competition is intense. There is no doubt about it. In a strong program like Erasmus Mundus, acceptance rate for the full scholarship can be below 10%, sometimes below 5%. But here is the thing that most guides don't tell you. And this is the central insight of this entire video. The selection process for Erasmus Mundus does not just reward the best qualified applicants, it rewards the best prepared applicants, and those are not the same people. Best qualified applicants are not same as best prepared applicants. Most applicants think that the selection is primarily academic in nature, high grades, good degree, and that's it. You get in. But the reality is more layered than that. Every Erasmus Mundus scholarship, and there are almost 150 active programs in this consortium, have its own selection process. But most of these programs follow a similar structure. First of all, they will check your eligibility. Do you meet the basic requirements? Second, they score your academic record. Thirdly, and this is where most applications are actually won or lost, they evaluate your motivation letter, your research fit, and your understanding of what the specific program is trying to achieve. Some programs also conduct interviews at the later stage. The academic scoring is relatively mechanical. Your grades are your grades. You can't change them at application time. But your motivation letter, the program fit, and the way you present your story, that is entirely within your control. And that is exactly where I lost points and where most people lose points. Let's go through the 7 rejection reasons. I'm going to be specific and I'm going to be honest about which ones were mine. Rejection reason number 1, and this was partly mine: wrong program choice. Erasmus Mundus has over 150 active joint masters programs. They span every field: engineering, humanities, environmental science, law, public health, data science, AI, and many more. And here is that mistake many applicants make. They choose the programs based on prestige or country and not on genuine academic fit. Every Erasmus program is looking for applicants whose undergraduate background and stated research interest align closely with what the specific program does, not broadly with that field, with the specific Erasmus program research focus and partner universities' strengths. If you studied economics and you apply for Erasmus Mundus in environmental sciences because it looks interesting and Germany is one of the partner countries, that is a weak application. Not because you are unqualified, because the fit isn't there. And committees can see that immediately. And like I said, I'll be honest with what mistakes I made. This was one of the mistakes I made. I applied to the program that was broadly in alignment with my undergraduate degree and research background, but it was not directly aligned. I was interested in it, but interest and fit are not the same thing in a selection committee eyes. So, what's the fix? Do read the Erasmus Mundus program's research output. Look at the thesis topics of previous graduates on LinkedIn or on their website. Apply to the programs where your specific undergraduate work is directly relevant and not just your general field. Rejection reason number two, and this is the biggest one, the one that I think accounts for more rejections than any other single factor. You typically need a precise program specific motivation letter that clearly explains your fit with that exact program and with Erasmus Mundus multi country high impact vision. So, here are some of the common mistakes that you might be making with your motivation letter. First of all, your letter must be highly generic in nature. For example, it could sound like that it can be sent to any master's program in any country. The student never really answers why this exact Erasmus Mundus program and why this particular mobility track and why these universities. And thirdly, there is no real link between past and future. They list what they studied and then jump to I want to contribute to society without showing the bridge. How this specific program helps them to get from point A to point B. Fourth, the letter only talks about the funding need. A strong motivation letter is not about how badly you won the scholarship, it's about how precisely you fit with the program. If the committee can swap your program name with another one and your letter still makes sense, your motivation letter is too weak. Make your past, the program, and your future line up like three dots in a straight line. Then only your motivation letter becomes powerful. My mistake, my motivation letter was passionate but generic. I wrote about why I love the field. I didn't write about why the specific Erasmus Mundus program and why its structure, partner universities, and research focus was the right environment for my specific academic goals. Read the program's full guide. Read the partners university research group pages. Find one specific resource, one specific professor, research project, or a data set at this Erasmus Mundus program or partner universities that connects exactly to your existing work. Build your letter around that connection. No research angle. And this one is subtle because Erasmus Mundus is not just a master's program. The committees who are selecting students are academics, professors, and researchers. They are looking for people who think like researchers. And even if those applicants haven't done any formal research yet. So, what does this mean practically? It means that in your motivation letter and your application, you should be able to articulate not just what you want to study, but what question you want to answer, what problem you want to investigate, what gap in knowledge your master thesis might begin to address. For example, applicants who say, I want to deepen my knowledge about sustainable development, marine microbes, or something similar, it sounds like they want a qualification. But applicants who say that I want to investigate why community based solar energy projects in sub Saharan Africa have lower term adoption rates than the top down utility programs, and whether this particular Erasmus Mundus program will give me the access to the different databases that could help me model that divergence, it sounds like a researcher. So here's the thing, you don't need to have done research to sound like a researcher. You need to have read enough research articles to know what questions aren't yet answered. So before you apply, read 2 to 3 recent articles in your field, find one genuine gap, something the author says needs further investigation, make that your research angle. It doesn't need to be your final thesis topic. It needs to show that you think like someone who's ready for research. Rejection reason number 4. And this one surprises people every time I mention it. Misunderstanding the mobility requirement. Erasmus Mundus is a joint degree. That means you will study in at least 2 different countries, sometimes 3. So you will have to move. And that is not optional. It is the structural core of the program. And many applicants write motivation letters that signals that they haven't fully processed this. So here are some of the common mistakes that you might be making. You might be writing things like, I am excited to study at University of X and naming only one of the partner universities. Or you might be describing in such a way that you are drawn to a particular city or a country or a culture as one of the primary reasons for applying. Selection committees sees these signals. They read thousands of applications. They know immediately when an applicant hasn't engaged with the actual structure of the program. And this is how you can fix it. In your motivation letter, specifically acknowledge the mobility structure. Explain what you expect to gain from the specific academic environment of each partner university, not just the famous one. Show that you have thought about what studying at University A in year 1 and University B in year 2 means for your specific research development. And how to fix that? Go to the program's official page, find the mobility pathway of your year, write one sentence in your motivation letter for each partner university, what specific resource, research group, or academic environment there is that is relevant to your goals. Rejection reason number 5, reference letters, specifically the wrong reference letters. Most applicants choose referees based on seniority. They want the most impressive title they can get, the department hand, the famous professor, the dean, and I understand the logic, but it is usually a mistake. Here is what selection committee actually needs from a reference letter. Specific evidence of your intellectual ability, your research potential, and your capacity to work independently at postgraduate level. A professor who gave you an A in 2 courses and barely knows your name cannot provide that evidence. So they will most probably write a generic letter that says you are a diligent and a capable student. That letter helps almost no one. A supervisor who oversaw your dissertation, who read your drafts, challenged your methodology, watched you revise your argument over 6 months, can write a letter that says, this student identified a gap in the literature independently, designed a mixed method study to address it, and produced findings that I would consider publishable with revision. That letter is worth more than any impressive title. Rejection reason number 6. It's a simple mistake but an important one. As most of the Erasmus Mundus programs are taught in English, many requires an IELTS or a TOEFL score. So like I said, the mistake is simple. Applicants submit applications with language scores that are either expired or below the threshold or pending. An application submitted with test results pending immediately signals disorganization. And a score that expires before the program starts, many test scores are valid only for 2 years. So it can cause complications even after you have received an offer. So here is a simple timeline rule that you can follow. Take your language test at least 4 months before the application deadline. This gives you enough time to plan. Check the validity period of your score against the program start date, not just the application deadline. This mistake is completely avoidable. It is just a logistics mistake, not an academic one. Don't let it cost you a scholarship. Rejection reason number 7. And this one is a strategic one rather than application quality related. From what I know is that you can apply for at least 3 to 4 Erasmus Mundus master's program. But most of the students that I know only apply for 1 or 2 programs. Erasmus Mundus has around 150 active programs. Most applicants have genuinely competitive profile for at least 3 to 4 or maybe 3 to 7 across their field. But many people apply to 1 or 2, either because they know about the famous ones or because the application process feels so demanding they can't imagine doing it multiple times. So let me share one more thing. A strong motivation letter is about 80% transferable across programs in similar or same field. The remaining 20%, the program specific section, takes maybe 3 hours of research and tailoring each application. If you have a strong application, applying to 3 to 4 programs instead of 1 to 2 doubles your realistic chance of success without doubling your effort. So here's a strategy. Identify your field, search the Erasmus Mundus program catalog for active programs in that field, filter for those where your academic background is a genuine fit, apply to the best 3 to 4 programs, tailor the program specific section for each motivation letter, and submit all of them. The full scholarship you want exists in multiple programs. You don't need to find a single perfect one. You need to find the one that says yes. Now, let me put all this together because I think seeing the full picture of a strong application, not just the individual mistakes, is what actually changes how you prepare. A strong Erasmus Mundus application looks like this. First, program fit. You have applied to programs where your undergraduate background directly aligns with the Erasmus Mundus research focus. It's not broadly aligned, but directly aligned. Second, your motivation letter. It opens with a specific academic program or research gap, not a personal passion statement. It names specific partner universities and their resource by name. It should be under 800 or 1000 words, and every sentence earns its place. Third, research angle. You can articulate one specific question your master thesis might begin to investigate. It connects to the program's research environment. Fourth, mobility awareness. You have addressed the multi country structure. Fifth, both referees know your research work, your intellectual capacity directly. You have briefed them and then they can write your letter specifically about your intellectual process, but not just your grades. That application, even without a perfect academic record, is a competitive one for the full scholarship because the full scholarship is not just a grade reward, it is an investment by the European Commission in someone they believe will contribute to research in this field. Show them that you are that person.